we did a couple of loops around the Pentagon before we landed, before we got cleared to land and go down in there and land. And I'm just sitting there looking down at this just crazy pile of wreckage and people and emergency services. And we go down and we land, just, I don't know, maybe 400 or 500 yards up above the north lawn where the plane hit, not too far. It was only piece of grass we could find. So we get there, we shut down, we go down. I don't know if you remember General Tommy Franks. My skipper worked for the JSRC at the time, so he knew Tommy Franks. So we went over and he briefed us, and man, it was crazy. It was so much confusion because of what just happened, and the FBI and the CIA, and man, it was just nuts. So that was my 9/11.
Welcome to the Calm in the Chaos podcast, where we discuss untold heroic experiences and dive into the mindset of the Navy's elite rescue swimmers. Hosted by former U.S. Navy Aviation Rescue Swimmer, Mount Everest solo summiteer, and best-selling author Bryan Dickinson.
Hey everyone, it's Bryan Dickinson. If you're enjoying these stories, please take a second to like, subscribe, and share the podcast. It helps more people find these conversations, and it keeps the mission alive. And if you want early access to new episodes and to support what we're building, consider becoming a Spotify paid subscriber. Your support means everything. Now let's jump in so others may live.
Bryan Trembath, T-Bone, as everyone knows you. In 21 years, lots of unique mission sets, rescue swimmer, CSAR, just feels like you recently got out in 2017, but that's like a long time ago now. It's crazy. The 2000s just are flying by. It's hard to even remember where we're at. But just many years of service, and I've talked to a couple other folks that you've served with, and just some very unique and amazing stories. So just honored to have you on, and just looking forward to this episode.
Thank you. I'm very appreciative of you having me on here. I'm honored and flattered, and thank you.
Of course. Well, what do you think about the difference in spelling of Bryan? Do you think I or Y is the right way?
Obviously, why?
Why?
There's a story behind why I'm named with a Y.
Okay, you have a story?
When my mother was pregnant with me, she was watching the Gale Sayers story, who was running back for the Chicago Bears. His best friend was Brian Piccolo.
Whoa.
And it's a really great story, and he spelled his name with a Y. So that's how I ended up with the name Bryan.
That is insane. That is exactly the same reason my name is Bryan, spelled differently than Brian Piccolo, but that is the exact same reason. For real. I was an accident.
Yeah, so that brother's moment here?
Yeah, I think so, man. This is crazy. This is divine intervention. We came together so we could share that story.
That's crazy, man.
As well. I've never heard that from anyone else. I was just telling my wife about that. Like, I think the movie that came out in the 80s was Brian's Song. And I'm sure I saw it as a kid, but I have to rewatch it just to kind of get more insight into what random happenings of, why we're named who we are. That's crazy.
No, that's pretty neat. I don't think I've ever met anyone else with the same story. So now it's like one of one.
Yeah. Yeah. If there's anyone else out there, reach out, because I think we need to have like a Brian Piccolo, like get together and see our commonalities and all of the issues that we come from. Coming from that. That's wild. Okay, Bryan. Well, awesome. Wasn't expecting that start. Tell us where you came from. Like, where'd you grow up?
I grew up in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
Nice. How was that?
It was great. I was born in Falls Church, Virginia. Then short time in San Antonio, Texas, and then back to Pittsburgh. My mom divorced, I think, when I was maybe 4 or 5, and we grew up here in Pittsburgh, a little town called Plumboro. I went to the same high school as Pat McAfee, if that rings a bell. So Grew up in Pittsburgh. It's a blue collar steelworker town. When I grew up in it, it's changed a little bit since then, but yeah, just a typical kid, growing up in a, middle class town, blue collar world. Big Steeler fan.
Yep. Still?
Oh yes.
Nice.
I don't miss a game.
All right. How are they going to do this year?
I think we'll be okay. I hope we'll have a winning season.
Yeah. You'll be above 50. Yeah. No, that's fun. Okay. So what did your parents do?
My mom was kind of a social worker her whole life. She worked with a lot of autistic and special needs kids,
Oh,
and my dad owned his own insurance underwriting company.
okay. Well, that's good. My
Mhm.
wife is a counselor and has her master's in social work, so I'm very familiar with that space. Takes a special person to dedicate their life for that. That's just one of like our job, ultimate job of serving others, at a different capacity. But social workers, just counselors, it's amazing what they do.
Yeah, my mom's going to be 80 in 2 weeks, and she's still doing it part
Wow.
time just to stay busy. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd imagine it's a lifestyle. It's not something you can just give up because you feel that urge. There's still more that you can do, and that's amazing. Happy birthday, Mom. Okay, so you seem like you had a pretty decent upbringing, but then something inside of you said, "I'm going to go serve this great nation." What drove that?
Uh, so my stepdad and my biological father were both in the military. So that always intrigued me. One of them was in Vietnam, so that really intrigued me growing up. And then I had actually, when I got out of high school, tried college for 1 year. That wasn't my thing. So I went south to Florida and went off on my own, and was doing okay on my own for a couple of years. And I was in Miami on a job, and I just didn't enjoy working with the guy I was working with. And it's a funny story, but he's just kind of an ignorant dude. And driving back to Sarasota on a Friday after work, I stopped at the Navy recruiter, said, "Where do I sign?"
Nice.
Joined. He was an air crewman. I was
Yep.
fascinated with aviation. I had always been, and Top Gun was still fresh in my head, so I thought I was going to be a fighter pilot.
You still might be.
On the Xbox thing, sure. But then I just said, "Hey, give me, let me go in a couple of months because I want to go up to Pittsburgh and tell my family and hang out with them for a little bit before I go." So that's what I did. I did the delayed entry program, packed my car up, drove up to Pittsburgh, told my parents. I think my mom cried. My dad smiled, shook my hand. He was, they were both very proud, of
Hmm.
course. And, I think they saw that as me taking a direction. So I don't know. I got sick of the job I had and I wanted to fly. So
Yeah. No.
that's what I did.
What year was that?
1996.
Okay. So you went in 96. And so when you did the delayed and you spoke to aircrew, was he aircrew rescue swimmer or?
No, he was at the time, a TAR, the Training Administration of Reservists,
Mhm.
and he was a C-130 crewman.
Oh, wow.
Yep. But, after talking to him, I wanted to overcome my fears. So I said, I want to be an air crewman, like him. And I wanted to be a rescue swimmer. So he said, I'll make you an air crewman, but you got to pick a source rate. I was always good with my hands. I was very mechanically inclined. So I chose mech, jet mechanic, AD.
Hmm.
And he said, you volunteer for rescue swimmer school when you get to aircrew school. I said, oh, okay. All right. So off I went, did the whole boot camp thing, which, as you know, wasn't, I'm not going to say it wasn't challenging. It was just I think the challenge in boot camp for me was just getting used to military life
Hmm.
and personal accountability and things like that. That they teach us. And on I went to boot camp. like I did aircrew school first.
Mm-hmm.
And when I got to aircrew school, I said, I want to be a rescue swimmer. They said, if it's not in your orders, you're not getting it. You got to ask, you got to request to go when you get to your first unit. So
Oh, well.
I was a little upset at that. So when I
Wait, so
got,
the recruiter lied to you?
no, he didn't.
Okay.
No, actually he did, man. Where the story is going is he got me out of this mess.
Nice.
So
I'll just let you talk then.
I said, okay. So I went to aircrew school, did that whole thing, and full of pride, I go to A school, and when you become a rescue swimmer, you automatically advance to E4. So that was motivating for me because I had already had a job before I went in, so I liked money.
Mm-hmm.
So when I got to A school, they said, whoever graduates first in the class, you'll get meritoriously advanced to E4. I was older than a lot of the other kids, so that was my motivation. So my first, whatever it was, phase in Pensacola, I stayed in, studied, graduated first in my class. And when it came time to pick orders, I didn't get to pick because they thought I was a reservist, but I was a TAR. And at the time, I don't think anybody knew what a TAR was. So they're just like, well, you can't pick any orders because you're a reservist. And I'm like, I'm not a reservist. So that's when I called the recruiter, and then he called some people, got everything squared away. It took a while. So I lost my opportunity for the orders. So he kind of advocated for me through the chain of command at Pensacola and kind of told my little story. And they said, man, we really, like this kid. He's a hard worker. He wants to do this and that. So I went to, I was in ADA school at the time. So I was in limbo. So I went to all of the strands, if you know what I'm saying. I went to turbojet school, turbofan school, turboprop, turbo shaft. I went to every single ADA school the Navy had to offer, and then a C school for helicopters when I finally got helicopters.
Oh.
Now, this went on forever. And by the time I was able to pick some orders, which I didn't even get to pick them, a detailer called me, said, man, you've done all of this already and you haven't even got to your first unit. Where do you want to go? I said, I want to be a rescue swimmer.
Hey everyone, this podcast runs because of you. If you want to support the show, the best way is simple. Buy one of my books, wear the Calm in the Chaos gear, or join the membership on Spotify or Patreon. Members get bonus content and the chance to send in questions for upcoming guests. That's how we keep this platform independent and focused. Now, back to the show.
I was a TAR. He said, I'm going to send you this place in Norfolk, HCS4. That's your best bet. Go there and tell them the same thing. But he said, they're a pretty tight outfit, man. So I think you'll fit. So off I went. Here I am almost 30 years later.
Yeah, that's wild.
Great. Yeah, I mean, it was a profound experience checking in, telling them, immediately I want to be a rescue swimmer. And they're like, well, that's possible, but you got to prove yourself around here a little bit first. Get your plane captain, get qualified as an air crewman, get your CDI, So I did all those things. And they said,
what platform were you flying in?
60 hotels.
Okay.
Yep. So my whole career was hotel 60s. I mean, I was qualified in Foxtrots as well because the fleet would throw us Foxtrots for training.
Mm-hmm. Like gutted?
At some point through my career. I can't remember all of it. But yeah, I just, so I started in the pipeline and I would work in the mech shop during the day. I would just jump on the flight schedule as much as I could. Then I'd work the phase shop at night. Because I was a single E4, well, E3 until I got meritoriously promoted for the whole deal, and lived on base in the barracks. So I didn't have anything better to do. So I literally would work 12, 15 hours a day in the squadron at HCS4, learning as much as I could. And that was how I started.
Oh, so did you deploy at all? Like before becoming a rescue swimmer?
No.
Does
I mean,
I don't
you
know
want to
HCS4.
consider Nellis Air Force Base or Fallon, Nevada deployment, sure.
Okay.
But
so just
but until 9/11 kicked off, I didn't do anything real. I don't think any of us. I mean, my age, I was young, in the late 90s and early 2000s, so I hadn't No, I don't have any. I didn't have any deployments. I went straight to HCS 4. That was my first command,
Mm-hmm.
and we were TARS, supported the even numbered SEAL teams on the East Coast. We did the CSAR and the Spec War with the SEAL teams there, and some of the other special forces. So what we did wasn't super conventional, I guess, in my brain,
Mm-hmm.
looking back on it now. And I bounced around on some small boys, did a couple weeks on a carrier here and there for DLQs, but no, I never went on a deployment on a ship before the war started. No.
Okay. So it's lots of training. And you guys were just really reshaping that whole pipeline at that point. Like I'm a few years ahead of you, went into 93 and just being in a HS on the carrier, the CSAR we were doing, we're just figuring it out as we're going. It took you guys really reshaping that. Well, let's back up. And at what point did you go back to SAR school?
Middle of 98, maybe.
So how was that? Because there's the usual track is it's basically like high school to boot camp, and you're like right in there. Your brain hasn't fully developed. Now you have these real world experiences, real military experiences, and doing like a cool job. That rescue swimmer. I don't even know if the future they'll even have swimmers doing like the job that you ended up doing. But yeah, how was that?
So day one checking into SAR school was not a positive experience.
Is it for anyone?
So like before they would send me to SAR school, obviously I had to do a PT test in at the squadron. The guys made sure I was ready, so I was physically and mentally ready for SAR school. But at the time, we didn't wear dungarees. We wore woodland camouflage. I think we're the only unit in the Navy besides EOD or SEALs that did. So we're this TAR helicopter unit, and I show up to rescue swimmer school in woodland camouflage, and I think his name was Casey Ludlow, AD1 Ludlow. Says, what's with the uniform? I'm like, this is my uniform of the day, and this is what my command told me to wear. And he said, well, you better get your ass to the exchange and get some dungarees. Well, man, I was junior. I didn't have any money. So I don't know. My command fought it for me. I wore them for about a week, and I caught enough shit and stopped. Went and got the dungarees, and that was how SAR school started for me. Plus, I was like the old man, obviously, right, because everyone was like 18, 19, and I was like 21.
Mm-hmm.
There was a couple other dudes in there that were older that I linked up with, that we would go out on the weekends and stuff, that we weren't on that phased Liberty crap that they had. So, once I got through that and I proved myself after a week or two in SAR school, everything was fine.
Yeah. What do you remember? I mean, that's a tough, like the last thing you want to do is even be noticed day one. And, and I noticed you. What was, well, I guess, were you, because you were older, were you like a leader, or was there someone else that was outranked you and was leading the group?
So there was a leader, his name, Shiver. I think his name was Shiver. He was my class leader because he was a second class. He came from P3s. He was a second and I was a third. So I think I was like, if there even was some kind of assistant class leader, but I caught a lot of shit because I was like one of the older guys and stuff. But
yeah,
I do remember them saying to him and I, did you prepare for this? Are you in good enough shape?
Yeah.
And I just remember that and telling him, yeah, I'm leaving here in an ambulance before I quit. So
yeah. No option B. So what would you say the most difficult part of SAR school was?
I honestly, I don't remember.
Yeah, it was a long time ago. About like life-saving multis.
Honest, the hardest part for me mentally was saying "hoo-yah" every time somebody walked by, or a bird, "hoo-yah, hoo-yah." Yeah, I was like over all that crap at that point.
Yeah, I remember that.
We had some pretty young kids in our class, and I just remember like just everything. I mean, you remember, you had to say hoo-yah to everything. And it's like,
I don't remember. It's so long ago. Maybe I blacked it
yeah.
out. I do
I
remember.
do
Yeah,
remember taking creatine.
oh yeah,
Someone told me take creatine, so I had that going for me, man. I got pretty jacked in SAR school
yeah.
with all the pull-ups and stuff. But maybe the beach runs, the physical part of it.
Hmm. But
I don't
nothing's
know.
outlying, like standing out. So you made it
Yeah,
through.
not that I was some PT freak, but I don't remember ever considering quitting.
Yeah.
You
I think if you consider
getting
quitting, you
pissed
quit.
off. Yeah, I mean, I used to get mad. You know what? Brakes, holds, and releases, man. I screwed that up a little bit.
Yeah, that's common.
The whole part of blah 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 up helo,
Yeah.
cable clear and taut. I remember I used to just apply the common sense and like I'm looking at the cable, right? But you still got to do your sweeps even though the cable's out of the water. So I kept, I guess, throwing the common sense in, like, all right, go. And I didn't say cable clear and taut.
Mm.
I remember that, but about it. My last night in SAR school was interesting.
Yeah.
Hmm.
What happened?
Me and a few of the other guys went out and got shit faced and got rescue swimmer tattoos before we actually got our grad certs, and then showed up to graduation late and half in the bag. So almost did not graduate SAR school because of that with our rescue swimmer
Oh man.
tattoos. Yeah.
Yeah. I've known people that didn't end up making it through, got rolled out, 2 weeks in, and they still got SAR tattoos. Like they're so proud and everything else. Like I know you went through a lot of the same training, but you didn't pass the train. It's just I can't imagine that mindset. You got to look at yourself every day. You were already like pretty much free and clear. But yeah, I can imagine that did not set well with the instructors.
I woke up in my instructor's living room that morning.
Oh,
Yeah, it was an interesting. It was funny, man. It was just. I mean, this is what is this, 28 years ago now, so
hmm,
nobody's getting in trouble for it. But yeah, me and the older fleet returnee guys, some of the instructors invited us out to celebrate, and we tied one on pretty good, man. And
yeah,
woke up late, graduation morning. Yeah,
nice. Where's your tattoo?
on my calf. The only thing it says U.S. Navy on me.
Yeah, yeah, should be a proud
Yeah,
one.
that's on the right side of my calf. I think we all got the exact same tattoo on the right side of our calves.
Yeah, I've had the same one. I had it lasered off later. Like I may
Did you?
get it. Yeah, in the Navy, like it was like experimental back in the 90s, and I knew a guy, so it took like 20 lasers to get it off, and it's gone. I may re-get it at some point, but just at a different location. I just didn't like the location where it was at.
Gotcha.
Um, yeah, okay. So you made it. Did you end up doing jumps in SAR school?
I think we did, but it wasn't out of a 60. Um, I think it might have been out of an H2. That sound right? For late
Maybe.
90s?
I mean, I did the
H2 or H3,
H3,
maybe?
H3
What,
behind me.
H3. I never flew in a 2 or a 3, like, as a crew member. So I
Hmm.
think it probably was an H3. It wasn't a 60. I know that.
Yeah. Yeah, they don't even do them anymore because there's no squadron nearby. So they wait, months later until they get to their maybe the FRS. Yeah, it's wild. Okay, so from
Never did
there,
an FRS.
you didn't do an FRS? Oh, because you
No,
were
the
already
guys
at
didn't.
HCS 4.
Well, that was like, I didn't do an FRS before I went to the squadron. Like, everything was in house and, in the HCS community back then.
Hmm. So then you went back to 4 after SAR school?
Yep. Yeah,
Okay.
actually, I think I retoured. I did 8 years at 4, I think.
Okay.
Well, no, 7 years, I think, because I transferred to HCS 5 right when the war started. Like, I checked in 3 weeks before we went to the war, I think, something like that.
Okay. You want to take us
Mhm.
there?
Yeah. So I stayed at 4. I went there after I finished SAR school. Never, never got a rescue. Jumped, did all my jumps. It was really cool because we had good SAR boats, and we would take the SAR boats out and day out after the jumps were done and do our thing. I don't know what you guys did where you were at, but it was always work hard, play hard mentality.
Mm-hmm.
We just going on with squadron life, and the funny story is everybody's life changed on 9/11. And everybody remembers what they were doing in the world on 9/11, right?
Yep.
So myself and a few other guys were up in DC at Fort Belvoir on September 10th, 2001. And we were a reserve squadron. So we had active duty pilots, but we also had reserve pilots. Our CO and XO worked in DC, so we flew 2 helos up there so the CO and the XO could get some flight hours for the weekend. So it was a good deal for us crewmen in the back, a free weekend in DC on per diem. So we took our golf clubs, myself, my buddy Jeff Gillespie, Chris Carter, and set on our way. And we were going up there to fly the Potomac route. I don't know if you ever flew the Potomac route in DC. You just get low over the river, man, and you do some nap of the earth stuff. It's cool. It's really fun flying. So on the morning of 9/11, we were flying that night, so we were heading out to go golfing, myself and Gil, and first plane hit, and we were standing in the hotel lobby watching this happen. Like after the first plane hit, and everybody, there's a lot of confusion right after the first one. Nobody knew if it was an accident or anything. Mm-hmm. And then the second one hit, and then we knew shit was real. And we were sitting in the hotel lobby. This is before cell phones. The lobby phone rings. It's our skipper. Talks to Gil. He says, "Get to the base ASAP. We have tasking to go." I just got chills up my spine, man. To go do medevacs off the Pentagon lawn for survivors from the plane that hit the Pentagon. So there goes the chills up my spine again, man. We jumped into action, haul ass over to Fort Belvoir, and we're sitting in the line to go into the base. It's DEFCON 4. It was locked down, and we're sitting there outside of a 7-Eleven, and Gil and I look over at this 7-Eleven, and we're like, man, we need to go get a camera. Remember those disposable cameras?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We're like, we got to get one. And now I can say it. We had one officer up there in charge of us, and it was some reserve maintenance officer bagging some reserve time, right? And he's like, man, no one's getting out of the car.
Oh, gosh.
So we're just like, oh, my God, you asshole. So he wouldn't let us get out of the car. He wanted to go down to Norfolk and get away from all this mess. Well, anyways, we get on to Belvoir, get over to the flight line. The Army had pilots on base for their 60s, but they didn't have any crewmen. So they asked, can you throw one of your crewmen in the back of our bird? So we're like, yeah. So me and this dude, Chris Carter, go in our bird in the 60, and my bro, Jeff Gillespie, he goes into the Army Black Hawk, and I can't remember everything, but we take off. We get up in the air. Everything's super serious now, right? It's as serious as it's ever been inside of an aircraft for me.
Yeah.
And Chris and everyone else. And we keep messing up the squawk, man, right? We weren't squawking the right frequency. And I remember a Marine Harrier kind of like zipping by us, coming over CTAF maybe, basically saying, hey guys, some serious shit's going down. If you don't unfuck yourself, excuse my language, and get the right squawk, we're going to shoot you down, kind of thing. It was real serious, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So we got that all worked out. And by that time now, I can see the Pentagon. I can see everything going on the ground. And we did a couple of loops around the Pentagon before we got cleared to land and go down in there and land. And I'm just sitting there looking down at this just crazy pile of wreckage and people and emergency services. And we go down and we land, just, I don't know, maybe 400 or 500 yards up above the north lawn where the plane hit. Not too
Mhm.
far. It was the only piece of grass we could find. So we get there, we shut down, we go down. I don't know if you remember General Tommy Franks.
Mm-mm.
My skipper worked for the JSRC at the time, so he knew Tommy Franks. So we went over and he briefed us, and man, it was crazy. It was so much confusion
Yeah.
because of what just happened, and the FBI and the CIA, and man, it was just nuts. So that was my 9/11. We were there. I can't even remember. We broke crew rest, all that stuff. I had to get
Mhm.
special waivers from home, and but that was 9/11.
Yeah.
The
Were you
last
actually medevacing anyone out, or were you
we
just there in
tried.
support?
There wasn't any survivors, man. There wasn't. We didn't get any living people in the back, if you
Yeah.
will.
Yeah.
Yep.
Wow, that's intense. I didn't even realize that you were a part of that.
I don't talk about it a lot. It's just as significant as that was, everything that happened after that is was the gradual
Hmm.
upslope of significance through the rest of our careers in the squadrons I was in.
Yeah. How has that impacted you though? Because that's a traumatic event if you're halfway around the world. But being there and actually seeing it and seeing the chaos, the misinformation, just, being at your, hyper awareness and readiness and, hurry up and wait. I'm sure there was a ton, but, how did that initially and maybe long term affect you? You said you got goosebumps or chills just even
Yeah.
thinking
So
back to it.
are you talking about 9/11 specifically?
Yeah, and your reaction, you being there and having to be on scene and being at the Pentagon.
That it was profound. I was still pretty young at the time, and it until I ended up standing in the desert. I guess I didn't realize the significance that had on the entire world, the financial markets, all of that. It just everything went into fast forward after that in terms of it was within 6 months of that they told us that we were going to go to the war, and then it was wait, 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 hurry up and wait, hurry up and wait.
Mhm.
When we finally went over, we felt like we were ready, and it's a story if you got a few minutes, but
Got all
you
day.
know, I, after that, we went to war right away. So the focus, if you remember, right after 9/11 was in Afghanistan, Tora Bora, Osama
Mhm.
bin Laden, Al Qaeda. We went after them right away. So the entire national and global focus was on that and not on what happened at the Pentagon and up in Pennsylvania and in the Twin
Mhm.
Towers. Sure, we remember it every year, and that's changed the entire world. But we had to go to war right away, and then it led up into Iraq 2 years later. So now we're fighting on two fronts, and so it was easy to, I guess, compartmentalize that what happened on that day on 9/11 and worry about the task at hand, which was get the terrorists off the streets that were responsible for all this.
Yeah,
Even
you
though
just kind of channeled it.
we're over there all because of 9/11, you don't think about that day when you're there. You think about the mission at hand, right?
Sure.
You think about training and tactics and being as prepared as you can for going to do something that you've never done in your life. Because I can tell you one thing: I'd never been in the Middle East
Mm.
before 9/11. Never even thought about it.
Yeah.
So everything getting there was a few guys in our unit, some old school reserves that went to Desert Storm that were kind of familiar, but man, we knew we were going to go get into some stuff just the way things were going.
Yeah.
So it got real pretty quick. We crashed a bird pretty quick into the war. I want to say 2 weeks into the war, maybe we rolled one up,
Yeah.
flew into an
Everyone
army
okay?
bird. Yeah, yeah. A little town called Asamawa. I wasn't there, but I remember it for sure. And then ever since that day where we started deploying over to Iraq, which was supposed to be a couple of deployments, we might have been there 6 months, is what our skipper told us.
Hmm.
Well, we were there from day one till day last
Oh.
with 4 aircraft. and everything and every personnel that comes with that 4 aircraft to support it for 8 or 9 years. So you can imagine the amount of stories that are just attached to the Red Wolves and the Firehawks throughout the Iraq war where we were, because you have 4 aircraft there 24/7, 365 for all those years, and all the people and crews required to operate it and stay mission capable. So we rotated a lot of people in and out of there. So man, you're literally you're scraping the top of the iceberg full of stories, man. Really, not to get off the path, man, but I just want to say thank you that you found some of us to do this, because we've talked about this for years. Somebody needs to hear our story, because we did some pretty cool shit and pretty significant stuff. I mean, we were a direct contributor to taking very, very bad people off the streets, real terrorists with real guns and real bombs and IEDs and all that. We were a part of all that stuff. We were a part of it.
Yeah.
So profound, to say the least, man. And the group of friends that I've made, brothers, sisters, everything, it all goes back to that first squadron I was in, and that profound day of 9/11, and then the next number of years until I retired. The one thing that remained constant from the first time I stepped foot in the hangar at HCS4 Red Wolves is I still know and see a lot of those guys several times a year. We get together. I have a charity golf tournament through my business every year. It's turned into a pretty big event here in Pittsburgh, and we raise a lot of money for disabled veterans. And all those guys I grew up in the Navy with and went into combat with the first time and flew with the first time. Man, we're all together up here every year for it, and it's so special.
That's amazing. What's the golf tournament? Does it have a name?
Veterans Decks annual golf tournament with for Project Healing Waters. So the organization we raise money for is called Project Healing Waters Fly Fishing.
Okay.
It's national, but we raise money for the Pittsburgh chapter. And the reason I do is when I got out of the Navy and moved back up to Pittsburgh, I mean, I left that environment, right? I left Norfolk. I left that environment. I wasn't near a base. I wasn't near my friends, anything. So my first year I was out, I was a little lost mentally. I just didn't have any camaraderie, right? You go from leading people to retired.
That's hard.
Yeah, you go from being significant to insignificant. So I found that organization, the Healing Waters. I always liked fishing, so I joined it and ate it up, chewed it up, helped me out mentally. It's called healing on the fly. When I fish, I don't think about anything else. I think about the fish. So it helped me out a lot, and they saw that. They knew that. I was one of the younger guys in the program. And somehow I got lucky and ended up on a trip, all expenses paid, to Montana. Healing Waters sent me to Montana to a ranch for veterans called the Freedom Ranch on a piece of land on the Wise River, which is the most gorgeous thing I've ever laid eyes on. In the TV show Barnwood Builders built the barn and the accommodations on the property from old barns throughout the region. It's the most amazing thing in the world. And I got there, and there's a locker with my name on it and all the gear I need. And everything is 5-star for all the veterans. There was a dozen of us. Yeah. So I spent, I think, 5 days drift fishing, floating the Wise River. We did about 50 or 60 miles of the river. Man, it switched my brain. And I was working at the time, capable, retired, made money, and they just paid for all this. So I thought, man, I got to at least pay them back. And when I was a chief in the Navy, I was the golf tournament guy, right? I would set the golf tournament, the selectee tournament up. So did that.
Critical skill set.
Yeah, exactly. So I just told my business partner, hey man, you mind if I set up a golf tournament and we sponsor some stuff for you? Yeah, no, man, go ahead. So the first year I did everything myself. He did all the work, like out and about, and I went out and got some sponsors, right? You know, it was $100 to sponsor a hole at my tournament, right? And all we wanted to do was get enough golfers to at least, you know, play 18 holes, like fill 18 holes up for a shotgun start.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think our first year we had 90 golfers, which we were super happy about. We raised, after it was all said and done, I think we raised like $4,800, right? So that was awesome, right? This past year, we raised 23,000.
Wow.
It gets better every year, Brian.
Yeah.
And it drives us as a company because we've grown our company to where a lot of people in the immediate area know us, and we advocate for as many veterans as we can, man. Anytime we have a chance to, we do that. So
Yeah, that's amazing.
It's all, man, it's such a full circle, dude.
Sure is.
Because this war affected all of us a different way. Some of us got past a lot of it. Some of us didn't get past a lot of it, still haven't got past a lot of it. And some of us aren't with us anymore because they couldn't get past it, guys that we know through our community. So it's a special place for all of us. And you've interviewed two of my best friends in the world, in Logan Warner and Paul Picotti.
Good guys. Real good guys. Do you want to, that's amazing, everything that you're doing. I mean, it's serving beyond your service, and yeah, keep doing that. Yeah. Is the golf tournament, is it like open to any veterans? Yeah. So
yes, absolutely. I mean, we sell out every year now. We don't have to advertise it anymore.
Okay.
Honestly, what we're looking for is, sponsorships.
Okay.
People that, and 100% of the money goes to the organization. And every year I give my lead, Amanda Thompson, a check. She cries.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's so fulfilling, and that's so amazing that you're doing that. Well, do you have any? I know Paul and Logan had them on, Mark Brush, and just some of their different mission sets. Is there any one? I know that. Well, I guess how many times did you deploy? 10? So you said that's insanity. Is there?
Looking back on it, yeah, it's a little stupid.
Well, it is what it is, and you're the right person for it, and I don't know, you're kind of interweaving through life and being healthy despite of all the traumatic experiences. Is there a lot of people can learn from you and what you're doing, because a lot of people struggle. Is there a mission set on one of your deployments that you'd like to share, one that kind of stands out? Doesn't have to be traumatic or anything else, just
About over 300 of them, man. So I'll tell a funny one. I can do a couple of funnies, and I can do a couple of I shouldn't be here right now, is one each. It doesn't matter. So I'll start with my very first mission ever, man.
all right.
And it was with my current, probably best friend in the world of 28 years, 30 years, John Ship. He raised me in a helicopter, but he was, older than us. So anyways, I'm on my first mission, and I remember we all spent a few of our own dollars to make our tactical gear a little more tactical for us, because when the war started, they issued us Vietnam era gun holsters and web belts. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, totally.
So a lot of us went and bought like the curly things that the cops would carry, so you could pull your weapon out and not lose it. Well, Shipper was too cheap for that. So he he tied a granny knot on the end of his gun with a piece of 550 cord and then onto his belt loop.
Nice.
So it's like June in Baghdad. It's it's a middle of the day. We're taxiing, because we had to fly somewhere, shut down, brief, and all that. So it was still bright out, hot, man. I just remember hot, being in body armor, hot as hell out there. And we're taxiing and we're doing our field of fire checks. And I do mine and I report it to the pilot, and then something's grabbing me, right? Pushing me and grabbing me. And I'm like, man, what is that? And it's Shipper's doing his field of fire checks. And well, Mr. Cheapskate's 550 cord wraps around my 9mm that's on my leg, right?
Oh gosh. Yeah.
And I'm like, it's pulling me, and then it like pulls my weapon out of my holster. So I immediately just I'm pissed off, pouring sweat. By now we're locked. His shit has us joined at the hip, right?
Yeah.
And I'm just like, dude, look at us, man. We're going on our first mission here. It's a mess. And the pilot's like, what's going on back there? I'm like, oh, nothing, sir. And I pulled my pocket knife out, cut his damn 550 cord, unwrapped it out of my weapon, which by now had pulled the hammer back on my 9.
Oh
right?
gosh.
I didn't have one in the pipe though. I was too scared to.
Okay.
My
Yeah.
first mission, right?
My next question.
Yeah, no, there was nothing in the pipe at that point. I was a little too scared to do that. So we get that all uneffed and we take off. So I remember Warner was on this mission. He was my wingman. I remember we're going after a sheik, right? An arms dealer. He's like the sheik of this village, and he's selling arms to the insurgents.
Mm-hmm.
It's 3 or 4 shipper, man, and I'm supposed to land, insert our team, pop up, and as we pop up, as we call 30 seconds, my bird's going to pop up, pedal turn, and while Warner's fast roping his guys to the sheik's roof, you know what I'm saying? It's a simultaneous hit. Mm-hmm. So we're sending guys in on the roof, and then my SEAL team's going to go in the door, right? But as they're doing that, I'm going to pop up, pedal turn, and I'm going to put my gun on his 6. Well, man, it all went to shit, like as soon as we landed. We go in, send my SEAL team out, right? And I'm in the right door. You know how the crewmen were, man, like, you're not going until I let you. So, man, I go. 8 SEALs left my cabin in about 4 seconds, right? And when the last one left, I'm looking through the tubes, the goggles.
Yeah.
I just see his gun kind of coming back towards me while he's running away. I'm like, what is that? Man, his gun wrapped around my comm cord.
Oh gosh.
Right? And as he was running out, right, when the comm cord let go of itself, and you could pull them apart, it comes back, man, square in the face, right? So the end of the ICS cord whacks me in the face, knocks my goggles off, right?
Thank goodness he had them.
Captain Tactical didn't put him around his neck here, so they fall out of the helicopter, right, on the ground, and I'm like, oh my God. I got no comms. The pilots, they're getting ready to take off, and I'm screaming. I'm throwing shipper. I grab the goggles, man, and at this time, I don't know if you remember. Did you fly in a hotel?
Yeah.
So you know how only one side of the aircraft had secure comms?
Yeah. We
would make these splitters, right?
Okay.
So both sides could have them. Well, I pulled that splitter out. And I think I shut down secure comms of the whole back of the aircraft at this point. I had no comms at all. The SEALs went to the front of the aircraft, and there was this dude, this Iraqi guy, kept looking out the window. I mean, it's like head in the window, head out of the window. And I kept thinking I saw a gun, right? Because your mind makes things up in a half a second.
Mm-hmm.
And by the time I get plugged back in, I'm ready to shoot this dude. And I'm screaming and I'm yelling. And they're like, man, T-Bone, shut the fuck up. And Shipper like smacks me on the back of the head and says, T-Bone, buckle your chin strap, get in the fucking game. And then the pilot says, if that dude sticks his head out again, shoot him. And I'm like, okay, shit got real. Well, nothing happened there. But about that time is when we realize we're in the wrong spot, right? We're in the completely wrong LZ. Our SEAL team is in the house. They have now taken down a family. I'm freaking out. And Shipper, everybody in the aircraft's kind of freaking out. And Shipper just says, I'm sitting over here looking at a donkey inside the rotor arc.
Oh.
I don't know why, but it stopped. Everybody laughed for a second.
Was that left side?
Yep, left side. And we're like, what? He's like, yeah. Staring at a donkey for about 30 seconds now while you guys are flipping out. So everybody calmed down. And right from there, man, that's when we kind of, in my brain, that's my story of I grew up in that 30 seconds, and that's when I started the war, right? That's when I realized, all right, this shit's real. Nothing's funny anymore. No. Let's get our guys back. So we got our SEAL team back, went and did the right thing. Well, by now, Brian, as you know, the surprise is over.
Yeah.
So as we're popping up, after we get our team in, and as we're popping up, man, all hell breaks loose, man. There's tracers flying. There's gunfights everywhere, right? And here I am thinking, and it's still 28 years ago, I know now it was a profound moment. It still wasn't yet, because as I'm seeing all the tracers flying and shit blowing up, I'm thinking, man, that's cool, right?
Right.
Shit going on down there, right? And my co-pilot, I'm not going to mention any names. If you're watching this, you know who you are. Freaks out and says, we got to get the hell out of here, right? Just like that, noses it over and starts flying away. And me and Shipper are in the back screaming at him like, we just left our wingman, man. Warner's ass is wide open. So like, we're like Top Gun shit here, right? Maverick leaving Goose or whatever. And we're mad. We get through the night, man. Just crazy shit happens, right? We get through the night. We rolled up, got the dude. I think we got the dude because it was the first time I witnessed an actual field interrogation, and I'll stop it there. I won't talk about what happened there. But we got to see me and Shipper, pretty neat field interrogation. But by the time we got back to the base up in Baghdad, we were just livid, man. And, you know, we waited for the debrief, and we brought up the debrief, and man, Shipper let that co-pilot have it about flying away.
Yeah.
Dude, that's the first time I got to see an AC-130 shoot live.
Oh, wow. Yeah. You were, how close were they hitting? Like to where you guys were doing an infill? Did you just see it in the distance, or?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, we had to clear the area, you know, when they would go ordnance away. But yeah, man, we could see it all happening. Like we were watching it on the FLIR. Like, so the SEALs got ambushed from somewhere, and one of the platoon leaders, Chief Don Stokes, is literally running across a dike or a rice paddy or something on the radio, call for fire, like 40 Mike hitting 100 yards behind him, and we're watching him on the FLIR.
Wow.
And it was pretty neat, man. I remember he fell. It was a kind of a short, funny moment, but yeah, he was like running through a field, doing a call for fire to get away from, you know, the Haji's insurgents, whatever you want to call them.
Yeah, that's intense. Dang.
That
so
was
how
my
was
first mission, dude?
I know.
That's my
like welcome to the Navy.
First time I had left the wire to go on like a logistic run. You know, you got to get a little bit familiar. I did an FCF here or there. But that was my first direct action. That was my first, no kidding, mission. And man, it like everybody shot. Like there's gunfights everywhere. And the C-130 went hot with 105s, 20 and 40 Mike. Man, it was like.
How about you guys? Were you guys shooting?
Mine didn't. No, I didn't.
So you guys, because of the junior pilot, you bailed on Logan's aircraft. What happened with that? They just do an infill, then get out?
Yeah, that was just like we train to, bro. I mean, get in and out as fast as you can. And by the way, I just want to not to correct you. He was an '04 with a couple thousand hours. He was not junior.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah,
he
you
should have
couldn't
known
get into the
better.
red. Well, you had to be a hack with I think 2,000 hours or more during that time to get into HCS4. So
So
yeah, I
that
mean,
he was
after
junior
that,
in that space as far as
it's an
war, I
'04.
guess. Yeah.
It's an '04 at the time, man.
Wow. That's wild. Offline, you have to tell me who it is because it's a small world. Um, just out of curiosity. Okay, so you got back. Super interesting debrief. Um, how did everyone respond to that? And then was the next night, the next missions that were you just like the tempo just from there?
It did. That was that to that point in the war. I think that might have been one of the more talked about missions with a lot of stuff that went on. And and oh, by the way, that night, no, it wasn't that night. I just found something recently from another mission I did. But that night was a lot. I think all of our introductions into how a real world call for fire goes. You practice this stuff, right? And then it happens for real. Well, it happened for real, just like it does in practice.
Mm-hmm.
That's what the coolest thing was about all of this. Our aircraft commander, Paul Mattingly at the time, had this really deep, just cool guy, soothing voice, right? The guy never raised his voice, never got excited. So great leader when you're listening to him on the comms. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm in the back losing my shit, and he's
Mm-hmm.
like, "Hey guys, just calm down over there." So,
Right.
and it
A good
took
skill to
that.
have.
Yeah, but I flew my very first, I don't know, probably 20 or 30 missions with him. And it just taught me to stay calm in the back. Fast is slow, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Yep. Calm in the chaos.
yep, that's man, it couldn't be a better name, bro, for like what I'm sitting here thinking of and drumming up in my head right now. Like that was the name of the game, man. Learn how to be calm in that chaos because man, you're one of them. I mean, as soon as you start getting amped up on the ICS, everybody else starts getting amped up.
Mm-hmm.
So, and
Oh, yeah.
then if you're
And
putting
beyond that, so like even around a carrier, there's a rescue involved. It's like the pilots have to be calm because they're manning the radios while we in the back are executing what we're doing. And as soon as, people are panicked back on the carrier or back at the fob or whatever, they want updates. There's support, you know, overwatches. It's like if everyone remains calm, you can actually execute the mission. But as soon as someone starts panicking, that just escalates everyone.
yep. And I think that, I mean, I'm sure you know this, man. You know how all that just ties into so many things, that the experience part, right?
Hmm.
So after, a lot of us had a couple of deployments under our belt, even when we would get newer guys in, that was, you always teach them, man. Admiral Mike Steffen always told us, use your cool guy voices, right?
Yeah.
Nobody get excited. Use your cool guy voices. And, that's what a lot of us learned how to do, is not freak out, right? What's going to happen is going to happen, but, staying focused on the mission at hand and using your 7 critical skills, right? Remember those? I just talked about 7 critical skills this week, bro, with a friend.
Dude, talk about it right now. Educate our guests.
It's part of operational risk management. It's in the I guess in aviation in general, but in the Navy, we had what was called CRM, crew resource management, and they taught us 7 critical skills. Some people learned the acronym as DAM class. Some people learned it as SAD clam. I was a SAD clam guy: situational awareness, adaptability, flexibility, decision making, communication, leadership, assertiveness. SAD clam M, mission planning and debrief.
Nice. Nailed it. That could have been the chapters in Calm in the Chaos.
It's so true though, man. I mean, I don't doubt that you've carried those 7 critical skills over into your real life, man.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, and that's actually why I wrote that book is, my stuff that happened on Everest. People always ask the question, how didn't you panic? It just
Yeah.
really comes down to that. It's so ingrained. It's just who we are. And I think until you're training the operations till everything is that intense, it doesn't really just become muscle memory. So you can never expect like people on the outside to really get it. But if they can kind of understand some of those skill sets and apply them in their life, maybe we can have a calmer world to a certain extent. There's so many people that just no matter what, there's no way they're they're ever gonna, they wouldn't ever be able to do our job.
Yeah. And it's just amazing how much, we call it practice, but, in the civilian world, but how much the training prepares you, right?
Mm-hmm.
For these situations, like you're talking about up on Everest, I mean, but you don't quit, dude. You've been to Everest and back, right?
Top and back.
Yeah, man, that's a 1%er, right? So I don't know if it was natural in you. I think a lot of us have it naturally in some way, right? That just no quit. But I think the Plinko game that the military is, where we all start out, right? And all us
Mm-hmm.
crewmen, swimmers, gunners, whatever, we all end up kind of in the same bucket with this majority of the same mentality, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I found a
just
lot of us come from traumatic backgrounds, maybe been in situations that were unhealthy that we had no control over. So then we get into more of a special op group where even first responders, where we might think we have control or we try to have control to save people that, in a scenario that we may not have had control in at some point. And it makes us very effective in that. But long term, it's not super healthy. So just
right.
having that awareness doesn't mean you stop doing it. It's just do it for the right reason.
Yes. You say long term isn't healthy, right? And none of us realized it, not to go back to the war, but, a handful of us deployed a lot, more than 5, 6, 7 times.
Mm-hmm.
And, and I don't care if you've deployed once or you deployed 10 times, it affects everybody different, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So I talk to people that say, oh man, I didn't deploy enough. I shouldn't get rated, or I shouldn't be in the same conversation as these people. No, that's not the case. That's why I always tell people there's thousands of different stories and experiences and how people handle those situations, right?
Yeah.
It's just the more and more you handle them, I feel like sometimes you get used to it.
Mm-hmm.
And for us, some of us, that prolonged exposure to the combat environment, right? You learn how to mentally move on when bad things happen around you, because you don't want to fail in the mission or get someone killed, or, you know what I'm saying, cause a mishap.
Yeah.
You learn how
100%.
to keep moving forward. Well, the world around you is falling apart because you have to, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it creates this, I don't want to say lack of caring for other things around you, but when you're in a combat situation or a gunfight or whatever on Monday night in Iraq, and Tuesday night you're sitting in a restaurant in Germany on your way home or whatever, dude, that messed with a lot of us, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Right? There was never that decompression time, and none
Yep.
of us filled out the, was it PDH, post deployment health assessment, right? PDHA. If you checked yes to anything, man, you got held up in country, bro.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
did you see, like,
They don't make it a fail safe. It's not,
yeah, dude, you'd
you
be
know
sit there
better.
and be like, at any time did you fear for your life? Did you sit there and check no? The funny ones was like, did you fear for your life? Hell yeah, man, I got shot at every day, right? Did you ever have explosions near you? Yeah, we got mortared all the time. Did you see dead bodies? You know what I'm getting at? If you check yes to anything, you
Yep.
know how knee jerk the Navy was when we were in.
Yeah.
So that meant two things to us. We got stuck in country, and our families are at home waiting for us. So it makes it harder on everyone. And two, you become non-deployable until they send you to the head shrinker.
Yeah, and you're labeled. You know, it's in our
exactly.
peer group, and
Yeah.
it's not okay.
So none of us realized that, bro. None of us. So we just kept deploying, just kept going and going and going and going. Man, there's a lot. Man, I know a lot of dudes. You know, what's funny is I saw a guy. I haven't seen him in 15 years. I was with him at HCS 5. He deployed twice. I haven't seen him in 15 years. We flew together. He walked into my basement, and, you know, you can look around me like I can show you when we're done here. I have a little treasure trove of stuff from the war and from my military service. This is my little office / man cave. He walks in my office, and you know what he said to me? How many air medals do you have? I'm like, why? That doesn't matter, dude. It doesn't get me anything in life. But you know what I'm saying? I know so many dudes with double-digit air medals. It's crazy.
Oh.
You know, it's so there's a handful of dudes that went out and did it and saw it, and we never realized the long-term effects of it. And I think every single one of us has been divorced at least once.
Yeah.
Man, it affects you downstream of everything, bro. Right? Like every time there was a mishap, a crash or something, the Peacoat, you know, Paul Picote.
Yeah.
I was in a mission one night that there was a crash, and it was in a you know, Al Qaeda dude's backyard, right? And everybody was okay for the most part, but before Al Qaeda claimed it, someone told Peacoat, get a hold of the crew's families and let them know everything's okay before this shit hits the news. You know, so my wife at the time gets a phone call in the middle of the night. Hey, there's going to be some stuff on the news about a Navy helicopter getting shot down or crashing, which they're going to claim shooting it down. Don't worry, everything's okay. Brian's okay. And that was all they could say. Hang up. So things like that, and I'm not the only guy that things like that happen to. There's, you know, I'm going with this, man. The families were affected downstream of this too. So this huge 20 years of war, Brian, what I'm getting at is, you know, it shaped so many lives in so many ways. It's unexplainable. And that's why I do whatever I can to help a veteran in any way that I can. Anyone that's struggling, because I've struggled. I'm sure you've struggled, man. It's just who we are. You know?
Yeah, and it takes years for any of us, at least in our group, to actually talk about it, because it's like we still, even when you get out, like you said, you got out of it. Like you moved back to Pennsylvania, and when I got out, I threw my whole sea bag in the dumpster. Like I just was ready to move on. The next morning, there was a homeless dude wearing my whites. I'm like, all right, well, someone got something out of it. And just immature at the time. Like I wish I had some of that stuff now, but that's just the mindset that I was in. And we tend to isolate, and it may not even be isolate outside of other people. There you go, T-Bone. But it's isolate from that life, and that's super dangerous, because that's where depression and suicides and it's a major funk, and then it takes a long time for us to have the courage to just say, I'm not okay.
Yeah. So how long did it take you before you realized you had to like talk about it?
Decades.
Yeah.
I didn't even realize I was chasing trauma. Next thing I do, get out of the Navy, I start climbing the highest mountains in all the continents. I'm one of just 2 or 3 people to ever truly soloed Mount Everest, and then had my experience there. And I just kept going after it, you know, just what can I do? Like I'm wired this way, and it's my drive. But it was doing those things is okay on their own, but doing it for unhealthy reasons is not. And then just getting back and finally just journaling, just making a list of people I've lost in the military, different, incidents that happen. And it was just like, I just started writing. It was page after page. And it's like, holy crap. And I'll make a joke out of it, but my cat died and I cried way more for that cat than I needed to. It was just, okay, something's not right. And that was kind of that moment. It was a good cat, but not that good.
But you loved it, right?
Yeah, but it just broke whatever was in that I was holding inside of me. And I needed that release. So then getting counseling and medication and, just panic attacks and everything else that comes along with, dealing or not dealing with trauma.
Oh yeah, I I get it, man. Like the panic attack thing, man. I mean, are you good? You solid now? You
Good. I'm good right now.
glad
Like
to
you
hear
never
it,
know
man.
what's
I mean,
around the corner, but I'm in a healthier place. How about yourself?
yeah, I like to think I am. I'll admit to this. I've talked to some of my friends about it, like guys you've already interviewed. When the whole Iran thing kicked off a few weeks ago, a month ago, I don't even know. So
Yeah.
I'll back that up with I don't talk politics. I don't watch the news.
Nice. Perfect.
Done with it, man.
Yeah. Same.
So all that starts happening, and one of my bros sends me a video. I think it was from maybe like Ali Al Salim Air Base in Kuwait, and it was from another one of our bros. Anyways, here's this base that I was on 23 years ago, getting Scud missile attacks from Saddam Hussein on, right?
Mm-hmm.
And now Ayatollah Khomeini's launching them at us at the same airbase from Iran, and it's like all the blood spilled over there, all the shit, and here we are. You know what I'm saying, man? Ground
Yeah.
zero.
We never
And
learn our lesson.
yep, and watching. I'm sure you saw it on the news, like watching the missiles go back and forth, the explosions happening in Tehran. Fifth Fleet, Fifth Fleet in Bahrain gets hit, and it's so
Yeah.
all us Navy guys are like, what? And
Mm-hmm.
then kudos to the Navy, Mark 48 torpedo out of a submarine sinking a ship. That was awesome. I know you think that was awesome. We all do.
It is, but it was like outside of the Gulf and was
Yeah.
it a threat? Like we don't know, but yeah, I'm a
Yeah. So when all that stuff started getting on the news again, like it did 25 years ago, yeah, my brain started going back to some other places. So I called some of the fellas and texted them, and it was happening to them too.
mhm.
Other than that, I talk to Paul Picotti almost every day for 10 plus years now, 5 to 7 days a week. And
Mhm.
you know how many times we talk about the war in the Navy? Not very much.
Yeah,
I guess trying to mentally move on from it has been the healing part, bro.
sure.
And when we all get together, we talk about it. And this I feel is healthy uh, because you've done it. You've got that inside of you, man. You've been in the back of a helicopter. You've been in the chaos,
Mhm.
and it's easier to talk about some of that chaos when it happens with with people that understand it,
Yeah,
right? That guy I was telling you about the other night that walked in and asked me how many air medals I had, right? We had such a profound conversation because we understood each other.
hmm
Hadn't seen each other. I mean, he made shoot, man, he made chief and then warrant. I just made chief, but he was a reservist. We went two different directions, didn't talk, didn't stay in touch, but to hear his perspective of the war from when he was in it till now, and then mine and how I was in it until now and how it affected us in our career paths, man. It was such a profound conversation, bro. Like it flowed back and forth between us because I'm talking to a person that I haven't talked to in a while, that I haven't heard of, and I'm so interested to hear how his life's gone and shaped out and shook out. And it's like I can say these little things, these little niche things like you and I have, and you understand.
yeah,
Like I don't have to explain it to someone. Like he didn't interrupt me, I didn't interrupt him, man. You just sit there and you take it in and you're hearing it, and it's like man, I'm relating to all this. And that's the healing part of what you're doing, man. Again, thank you, man. It's,
Yeah, of course.
you're helping heal some of us by talking about this. And then I know, our guys are going to watch this stuff, and it's
Yeah.
great. Thank you again, man. This helps heal, dude. This helps
Yeah,
heal.
I hope so.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, well, you're welcome, and thank you for being on. Is there, I feel like I should have you on again at some point, or it might even be fun to have like a few of you on at the same time,
That would be cool.
just to kind of have a joint, discussion. I think it'd be pretty interesting. I know you have a lot of stories, but um,
I could do one quick funny one if you want.
okay, yeah, let's end with a funny one. And
So
funny is relative for those guys that serve.
yeah.
Anyone else are
So
like, what?
we had to give some, I don't know, man, 3 or 4 star general a ride to this place called Taji. And we had to sit around and wait for a while, and everyone was mad because we didn't get to go to the chow hall before we left. That's where we got to, right? It was like steak and lobster night or something, I don't know. But everyone was pissed off. We had to take MREs. So one of the pilots, A Train, Ansel Cox, he's eating his MRE and he gets these the spiced apples, right? In the MRE.
Mm.
I guess he didn't like them, so I somehow they ended up behind the. Remember where the SAR bag went?
Mm-hmm.
He just throws them behind the SAR bag, and didn't think anything of it. And then, hey, here comes a general. We got to take him from from Taji to another base. It's the summer. It's hot. We got guns out, deployed. So here we are, zipping along at 140 knots. 200 feet, yanking and banking. And the spiced apples somehow jarred loose. And I don't know if you remember, Brian, that when you'd have the doors open, that vortex that sits
Yeah.
right in the middle of the cabin.
Oh yeah, especially if a
Well,
pilot like used a relief tube and the
yep.
hellhole was open.
Next thing I know, man, I started smelling these spiced apples, and I'm like, man, it smelled like apple pie. And then a piece of it hit me, man. I looked around, and it was like the Wizard of Oz with Toto and Dorothy in a twister, man. All these spiced apples, man. And I looked at the general, dude. He's got like spiced apples all over the side of his face, man. I mean,
We're
like
professionals back here.
I am literally laughing so hard on the ICS, I can't even control myself. And the aircraft commander at the time, Seth Gagliardi, he's like, "What's going on back there?" And I'm like, in my laughter, telling him what's happening. Right? I'm like, "You got to see this, man. If I had a camera, I could take a picture of this general's face is coated with the spiced apples." And he's like, "This is not a laughing matter, T-Bone." And he's like, "Who left the fucking apples out?" I'm like, "Your co-pilot did, man. Talk to him."
Right? Wow.
Yeah,
Was
man.
he wearing
So
like the cranial and everything?
Yeah, man. I handed the general, like a towel or something like that, and
Yeah.
he was cool about it, man. But our aircraft commander Gags, he wasn't real happy. We can laugh about it now, man. But God was
Yeah.
happy.
Yeah, no kidding. It's like a high profile person and you get spiced apples in your face. That's awesome. Yep. Things you don't see on the news.
No, man. That's what's so cool, man. Is like, all of the stories that you live while you're in the service, right? Because you meet so many people from so many walks of life, and like I said, that Plinko game, how we all ended up in the back of an H-60, bro. We're all, you know what I'm saying? Like, we all ended up in the back of a helicopter for a reason.
Yeah. Yeah, it's amazing. I'm glad that we did.
Yeah.
It's an amazing job, but yeah, you got to work through it too. Because, yeah. Well, wow. Thanks for sharing that. Ending on a funny note. With all of your experience, let's do the wisdom thing. It's like, what have you, throughout all the years, as you were a wet swimmer, but realistically, you're CSAR for the whole time doing just amazing things. 10 deployments. We don't count air medals because you're just doing your thing. And that's awesome. But through it all, what's a bit of wisdom that you would gain, that you've gained through those years, that you would put out there to just normal people walking through life?
You are capable physically and mentally way more than what you think you are. Learn how to push yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. At what point did you realize that about yourself?
It was like, before I realized it, I mean, I think it's been in me for a long time before the military, but when did it get brought out, man? When, it was when things, SEER school, great example,
Mm-hmm.
right? SAR school, great example, right?
Mm-hmm.
What do you class up with? 30, 40 people?
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you graduate with 6, 10, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like, as I was making it through these gates throughout my career, there's all this attrition, right?
Yep.
I somehow always ended up in the pack, right?
Yeah.
And then I think back now, like way more now, that would be my profound piece of wisdom is like, I look back now, like I got to think about my first 3 steps when I get out of bed, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But
Dictate your whole day.
Yeah, as early as, what are we in, 26? Well, 15 years ago, I was jumping out of helicopters,
Yeah.
So, and you never think, you think back, how did I ever do that, right? I've always had a no quit attitude, but it's gotten me through some stuff in life on the other side. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Mm-hmm.
man, I'm not gonna. That's quitter shit. Like I'm not gonna quit. So,
Yeah.
because I'm capable, right? So I
Yeah.
think that the human mind and the human body are way more capable. The body, because of rescue swimmer school, right?
Mm-hmm.
We were, dude, man, that was some shit, right?
Yeah.
Right? What we did physically, and then think about SEER school.
I try not to.
But that's attrition, right? You go up on the
Mm-hmm.
mountain with 30, 40 guys, and you come back like, and you don't know who's left until your camp's liberated, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you realize, you look around, it's like, ooh, we shed some people, but you're still standing, right? So
Yeah.
you're just, you're capable of much more. And what I told myself, I remember in SAR school and SEER school, well, they're not going to let me die. That was like my little talk to myself. They're not going to let you die. So,
Yeah.
F it. Yeah, they're not going to let you die, man. So let's see what you got.
Yeah. Mareki was not too much before I went through, so I knew that dying was a possibility. But I was kind of the same. Like maybe they learned their lesson, and they would always revive us, if we had shallow water blackout. But you're right; they're looking for you to take it to that extreme. And I like what you said there because it wasn't just one thing; it's an accumulation of things. And then when you have a pattern of things, you realize I can do so much more than I ever, especially what people have told us throughout our life, these voices that'll keep talking to us. But, it's about listening to yourself and never, ever giving up. There's never an option B. If you get voted out, you get voted off the island, survivor, or, you get injured, there's things outside of your control. But you're right. So many people just bail out so easy in life.
And we're surrounded by it, Brian. I feel like we are sometimes, and think of you went to Everest, man. You're 1% of 1%. So I can't imagine how a guy like you handles hearing, whether it's someone close to him or not close to him, not want to walk up a set of stairs, or something like that, right? You know, like there's so many more harder things in life that we have to deal with mentally and physically
Mm-hmm.
that our society is just giving up on itself, so to speak, right?
Yeah, and I think humility, empathy are good. They're okay, but it's not an excuse to not do it. So I know that, you know, I've soloed Mount Everest and had my miracle up there and survival story. I know the person I'm talking to is not going to go through something like that, and I can't expect them to be at an Everest or a rescue swimmer level. But the level of not being able to get up that one stair, you know, you gotta push them, and
Yeah,
that's just one example. But yeah, because I've made those mistakes as well. Like I can do it, so you can do it. Well, you're not me.
yeah, you just put some perspective in my brain, brother. You literally just did by they yeah, they haven't been where I've been, and I can't expect them to have that mindset, man. I normally don't think like that. To a certain extent, I understand that, but for an adult, man, you know,
Hmm.
and I relate that to some different things that are going on in my life right now. But boy, did you just hit the nail on the head.
Hmm. Cool. We'll call this episode a success then.
Yeah, you might have just helped me out with something's going on right now, man.
Cool. Well, yeah, I would definitely love to have you. I would actually like to have maybe the three of you, the crewmen on, and just have an interesting discussion at some point. We'll keep talking, and but for now, thank you for coming on, for sharing, for your service, for just who you are. I mean, this is an amazing episode, and just I was surprised on so many levels. I didn't know so many things about you. So I'm just glad that we're brothers, we're friends, and yeah, just thanks for coming on.
Yeah, man, I'm glad I met you, Brian. Man,
Yeah,
thank
you
you, man.
too.
I appreciate it. Man, all the respect in the world to you, brother, for what
Yeah,
you're doing, for taking the time out of your day to do this, to tell people stories, not only guys from my era and my war and my squadrons, all of it, man. Just
yeah,
thank you.
yeah, you're
You're a
welcome.
talented guy, man, and and I hope you keep it up.
Cool. I will. All right. For everyone else, we will see you next time.
Thank you for listening to the Calm in the Chaos podcast. Please subscribe to be notified of future episodes, and if you enjoyed what you just heard, please leave a 5-star review on whatever platform you listen to podcasts. Until next time, get out there and make a difference so others may live.